In this example, it says find the equation for an ellipse and graph by a hand. Okay, we can do this. What we're given here is just two vertices and a c value. So I think probably what would be best is if we go ahead and we list out the a squared, b squared, c squared, a, b, and c. Let's do that first, and that way we have a way to be able to keep track of all of our information as we go. Alright, another important part of our ellipse is going to be the center, so we might want to make note of that also, even though they didn't give it to us yet. They did tell us that we have vertices at 2, 5, so 2, 5 would be right there. It's a vertex. And at 2, negative 1. Okay, that's another vertex. Well, since they gave us these as being vertices, we're going to make the assumption, which is correct, that these are major vertices, because that's what they mean when they just say vertex. They mean major vertices. So if this is the major vertices, that means that the center has to be smack dab in the middle of those. So I'm going to guesstimate that the center would be right there in the middle. That means I would go 1, 2, 3 up and 1, 2, 3 down to get to each one of the vertices. So that would put that in the middle. That means that my center is the point 2, 2. So I'm going to make a note of that. Now, because of them giving us the vertex or the vertices, then that means that we also know one of these values, because the distance from the center to a vertex is a units. Then that means a in this case has to be 3. And we also know that that's in the y direction. So if a is 3, then that means a squared has to be 9. Now what else did they give us? They gave us that c is 2. Okay, so if c is 2, then that means c squared has to be 4. And if you'll remember what c is the distance from the center to the foci. So that tells us that we're going to go up 2 units to the foci and down 2 units to the foci. Because remember, the center, the foci, and the vertices are all on that same major axis. Now, the only other thing we need to be able to finish drawing this in is our b values. But luckily, we have a relationship between a, b, and c. And that relationship is a squared minus b squared equals c squared. So that means that 9 minus b squared, that we don't know, equals 4. So that means b squared has to be 5. So if b squared is 5 in this case, and that means b is the square root of 5, and that has to be in the opposite direction, so in the x direction. Alright, so we're going to go square root of 5, which is a little over 2, so 2 point something or other, and 2 point something or other. There we go. Now we can draw in our ellipse, and hopefully yours doesn't look like a football like mine does, but that's alright. Alright, that's everything that we need in order to be able to write the equation. Now, our equation should be x minus h squared over something plus y minus k squared over something equals 1. Since this is elongated in the y direction, then that means a squared will be underneath the y's and b squared will be underneath the x's. Now we already know all of these parts. We know h and k from the center is 2 and 2. We know that b squared is 5, and we know that a squared is 9 from our keeping track of our information. So our equation is going to look like x minus 2 squared over 5 plus y minus 2 squared over 9 equals 1.